Number 10, the blushing puzzle. You probably think blushing is just a simple rush of blood to your face when you feel embarrassed or ashamed, something that happens automatically like any other reflex. But science still can't explain why humans are the only species on Earth that visibly blushes or what evolutionary purpose this strange red signal actually serves. Charles Darwin called blushing the most peculiar and the most human of all expressions. And more than 150 years later, researchers still have no solid answer. Blushing is controlled by the sympathetic nervous system, yet it only happens in social situations involving self-consciousness. Brain scans show it activates the same areas involved in self-awareness and social evaluation, but no other animal shows this visible facial flush even though they experience embarrassment. And studies at the University of California have shown that people who blush are perceived as more trustworthy and likable, yet the signal is completely involuntary and can happen at the worst possible moments. The terrifying part is that this uniquely human trait may exist to advertise honesty and repair social bonds, but we still don't know how or why it evolved only in us. Number 9, the placebo effect's hidden power. You probably think the placebo effect is just people fooling themselves with sugar pills and that it only works for mild pain or minor symptoms. But science still can't explain why the placebo effect can be so strong that it sometimes matches or even beats real drugs in clinical trials for conditions ranging from depression to Parkinson's disease. In rigorous double-blind studies published in the New England Journal of Medicine, placebo groups have shown measurable changes in brain chemistry, dopamine release, and even immune system function. fMRI scans reveal that when people believe they are receiving real treatment, their prefrontal cortex and nucleus accumbens light up as if they actually received the drug. The effect works even when patients are told they are getting a placebo. Researchers at Harvard Medical School have documented placebo responses that reduce pain by 50% or more. Yet no one understands the exact biological pathway that turns belief into real physiological change. The terrifying part is that the human body appears to have a built-in healing system triggered purely by expectation, and science still cannot fully map or control it. Number 8, the hard problem of consciousness. You probably think consciousness is simply the result of billions of neurons firing in your brain, and that one day neuroscience will fully explain how the brain creates the feeling of you experiencing the world. But science still can't explain how physical brain activity gives rise to subjective experience, the qualia of seeing the color red or feeling love. This is called the hard problem of consciousness, and it remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in both neuroscience and philosophy. Leading neuroscientists like Christoph Koch and David Chalmers admit that while we can map which brain areas light up during certain experiences, we have no idea how those electrical signals turn into the private inner world each of us lives in. Every theory from integrated information theory to quantum consciousness has major gaps. The terrifying part is that your entire sense of self, every thought, emotion, and memory, might be something science cannot explain even though it happens inside your skull every second of your life. Number 7, phantom limb pain. You probably think that when someone loses a limb, the brain simply accepts the loss and stops sending signals to the missing part. But science still can't explain why up to 80% of amputees continue to feel intense pain, itching, or even movement in limbs that no longer exist. Brain scans show that the area of the cortex that once represented the missing limb stays active and sometimes invades neighboring regions. Yet this maladaptive plasticity theory does not fully account for the vivid, lifelike sensations many patients describe. Some amputees feel their missing hand clenching painfully or their toes curling even decades after amputation. Mirror box therapy can sometimes relieve the pain, but no one understands why a simple optical illusion can trick the brain into releasing pain signals from a limb that isn't there. The terrifying part is that your brain can create completely realistic sensations from body parts that no longer exist, proving that the map of your body inside your head is far more powerful and mysterious than the actual physical body. Number 6, the human chin puzzle. You probably think the prominent chin on the human jaw is just a normal part of our facial structure that evolved for chewing or speaking. But science still can't explain why modern humans are the only species on the planet with a true protruding chin. Every other hominin and every primate has a sloping jaw without a distinct chin. Anthropologists have proposed theories about sexual selection, mechanical stress from speech, or changes in diet, yet none of them hold up under close examination. Detailed 3D modeling and fossil analysis published in the Journal of Human Evolution show that the chin does not provide any clear mechanical advantage for chewing or talking. The terrifying part is that this small bony projection that defines the human face may be the result of some unknown genetic or developmental process that appeared suddenly in our species and has no obvious survival benefit. Yet it is one of the most recognizable features that separates us from every other creature that has ever lived. Number 5, the contagious yawning puzzle. You probably think yawning is just a simple sign that you are tired or bored, and that when someone else yawns, it is nothing more than a social reflex or coincidence. But science still can't explain why yawning is so powerfully contagious that seeing, hearing, or even thinking about a yawn triggers one in 60 to 80% of people within seconds. Brain imaging studies at the University of Albany and later replicated at the University of Zurich show that contagious yawning activates the same mirror neuron networks involved in empathy and social bonding, yet no other animal shows this level of automatic contagion except chimpanzees and a few other primates. Humans are by far the most sensitive species to it. The effect is so strong that even reading the word yawn can make you do it right now. Researchers have ruled out oxygen levels, boredom, and temperature regulation as the main causes because the contagion happens even when people are fully alert and in identical environments. The terrifying part is that this invisible social signal may be an ancient empathy mechanism hardwired into our brains to synchronize group behavior. Yet after decades of fMRI studies and psychological experiments, scientists still cannot pinpoint the exact neural pathway or evolutionary reason why one person's yawn can force another person's body to copy it instantly. Number 4, the unique fingerprint puzzle. You probably think fingerprints are simply rough skin patterns that evolved to help us grip objects better. But science still can't explain why every single human fingerprint is completely unique. Not just different from every other person alive today, but different from every human who has ever lived or will ever live. Even identical twins who share the exact same DNA have completely distinct fingerprints. Detailed 3D mapping at the University of California and forensic databases containing millions of prints confirm that the probability of two fingerprints matching by chance is less than 1 in 64 billion. The swirling ridges form in the womb between weeks 10 and 16 of pregnancy, influenced by tiny differences in amniotic fluid pressure and fetal movement. Yet no two patterns are ever the same. The terrifying part is that this extreme uniqueness has no clear survival advantage. Other primates grip just fine without it. Yet nature has built an identification system so precise that modern forensics still relies on it after more than a century. Number 3, the emotional tears puzzle. You probably think crying is just a way to release stress or wash out irritants from the eyes like any other animal, but science still can't explain why only humans produce emotional tears that contain stress hormones, natural painkillers, and proteins not found in regular eye lubrication or animal tears. Chemical analysis at the Weizmann Institute and later at the University of Florida revealed that emotional tears have a completely different composition from reflex tears caused by onions or dust. They contain leucine and kephalin, an endorphin that reduces pain, and higher levels of prolactin and cortisol. No other species on Earth produces tears specifically because of feelings. Brain scans show that emotional crying activates both the limbic system and the parasympathetic nervous system in a unique way that actually calms the body after the tears stop. The terrifying part is that this visible, chemically rich signal evolved only in humans as a powerful social communication tool. Yet scientists still cannot fully explain how or why the body decided to turn deep emotions into literal liquid that leaks from our eyes. Number 2, the appendix puzzle. You probably think the appendix is a useless leftover organ that sometimes gets infected and has no real purpose in modern humans. But science still can't explain why it is still present in every healthy person, and appears to play several sophisticated roles that researchers keep discovering. Recent studies from Duke University and the University of Arizona using advanced microbiome analysis show that the appendix acts as a safe house for beneficial gut bacteria, allowing the microbiome to repopulate after severe diarrhea or infection. It also contains a high concentration of lymphoid tissue that helps train the immune system. Yet despite these functions, it is not essential for survival, and its exact evolutionary reason remains unclear. The terrifying part is that an organ once dismissed as completely vestigial is now known to be an active part of the immune and digestive systems. Yet science still cannot say with certainty why nature kept it in every single human, while removing similar structures in many other mammals. Number 1. The sense of being watched puzzle. You'd think the feeling that someone is staring at you from behind is just paranoia or a trick of the mind, but science still can't explain why thousands of rigorously controlled experiments have shown that some people can detect unseen gazes with accuracy far above chance. Studies at the University of Nevada, and later replicated at the University of Edinburgh, used one-way mirrors, hidden cameras, and random blind testing, where a person stared at the back of a subject's head from behind a screen. Certain individuals consistently guessed correctly at rates of 55 to 70%, when pure chance would be 50%. As brain scans during these tests sometimes show activation in the right temporal lobe, the area associated with social awareness. The effect disappears when the observer is distracted or emotionally detached. The terrifying part is that this gaze detection ability may be a real low-level human sense that modern science cannot yet measure or explain, suggesting that our brains are constantly monitoring the social environment in ways we do not consciously understand. These unexplained features of the human body remind us that even with all our advanced technology and decades of research, the most familiar thing in the universe, our own body, still holds secrets that refuse to give up their answers. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to see more.